Welcome to Still Are the Tims, where we will soon shake your windows and rattle your walls. So we've got a lot of stuff to get through, but we'll start at Firhill for thrills. And Davey, I thought it was a really, really good performance and result.
Defo, Paul. I mean, it's as if there's been a conversation in the dressing room where it's just been a case of right back to what we're known for, Celtic attack, just as much as we possibly can get the ball forward. And the proof was in the pudding the day. It was from minute one. It was all go. It was trying to be positive and some cracking goals. And obviously we seem to have unearthed a wee gem in our left winger, haven't we?
Aye, definitely. Just before you leave there, Davey, how bad was Liam Scales today?
Oh, terrible. Absolute terrible. I mean, I heard his father didn't see the game, but aye,
Aye,
terrible.
I
A
was
lucky
thinking
goal.
that. I was like, fucking hell, what's Phelan going to say tonight? And then he's like, oh, I'm only seeing the goals. Oh, for fuck's sake. But Naz, there's a lot of kind. I mean, obviously, even Ian actually. I mean, we've got to tell this guy he's not fit and all that, but the guy can clearly play football.
Oh, absolutely. And that deft touch for Konecki's goal just sealed it for us.
Aye,
I would have thought he would have might have seen out a bit more of the game, but with a midweek game coming up, I think giving him the 60-odd minutes that he got, yeah, you'll get there. But I don't think we're going to see him play 90 minutes for a while yet. But
yeah,
certainly he showed.
yeah. And I know, Phelan, you only seen the goals, but can you
Mm.
just kind of give us a kind of action replay your celebration when you saw the Scales goal?
Before I get on to that, clean
Oh,
sheet and a goal. If the penny hasn't dropped with everyone now that Scales is going to give the ball away, well, you know he's going to give the ball away. But look,
no, no,
I
that's
don't
not
want to
why.
turn into a Liam Scales fucking show every week.
No, no, hold it, hold it. I need to defend us here. That's not why he was bad today. He was bad because he got
Okay,
roughed up by
fair enough.
Tony
I didn't
Watt.
see it, so yeah, I didn't see it. Fair enough. Um,
Um,
yeah, look, I just haven't seen the goals and following obviously everyone's reaction. It seems to be a very good performance. Iheanacho, I love the 1-2 with Iheanacho there and Muktabi is I still haven't pronounced his name right. That to me is a centre forward who's very unselfish, and Rogers has been waxing lyrical about him since he joined the club. So if that's what we have
yeah.
now, he looks like a player. Again, it's
Well,
early days.
I know you've got an input about something in this contest. We'll come back to you. But Davey, as we said before the game, focusing on specifically the board signings, there were none of them to be seen again in the squad. And it looks like, because obviously they're not in the Europa squad either, that Rodgers has kind of got his first team squad and they're not in it.
Aye, definitely, Paul. I mean, Nia Namura and Shin, and I think after the previous couple of weeks, I think it's maybe time, and quite rightly so, for Mr. Rogers to get his own back in the board and say, do you know what? This is how I'm
Aye.
going to. This is my team now. You've had your fun. I'm going to run the team to my liking the new, and
Well,
with a
aye,
mission
I
of eight
think
players, then
he's
you're
obviously
spot on.
he's obviously got final say on team selection and that. But
Hmm.
going back to the team, Naz, I tell you who I thought was really, really good today was Rio Atati. He was clearly had a kind of been told basically give the ball out left as much as possible. But his passing and movement was absolutely fantastic, I thought.
No, absolutely. And when Haddadi plays, certainly makes it better for the rest of the midfield. You don't rely so much on McGregor or anyone else. And
Mm.
having an outlet on the left wing that can actually go by players and give the full backs food for thought and know that in the majority of time he's going to be going forward with the ball. It
Aye.
certainly gives the team a bit more impetus as well.
We seem to have just lost you a wee bit of your sound there, Naz, but we've got the drift. But Phelan, you have got an input in regards the kind of disappearance of Johnny Kenny, which started at Ibrox and
Yeah,
he's never been seen
it's it,
since.
it's more. I wouldn't say it's a massive input, Paul, but it is. I did have a conversation this morning, as I invariably do, at Shamrock Rovers with a very well placed source who knows Johnny well, and he's mystified that Johnny's not and is nowhere to be seen. He's not injured, um, and I think it's fair to say it doesn't really. It's not rocket science to know that Johnny isn't very happy. I don't think that's a matter of opinion. I think any professional not being near the squad, having signed a 4-year deal and not being injured, I think there'd be something wrong if Johnny wasn't unhappy. But it's bizarre. Like I don't understand it.
No, I don't.
You
I
just
don't.
touched on, you just touched on it earlier, Paul. This seems to be Brendan's squad. Well, where's Johnny then?
Yeah, I can understand. I could understand like he brings his guy in for Sevilla and wants to play him and all that kind of thing because he knows him. But that would be surely then Johnny Kenny at least on the bench to come on in a game like that.
Yeah.
Today we were in front and all that. Ideal. You know, you're not going to learn anything about Dyson Maida from what you've seen in the last half hour or whatever. So it is a bit mystifying.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Davey got a good 4-0. Some good goals, obviously. Although, did anybody actually celebrate Yang's goal to begin with, Davey?
Well, it was one of the weird ones, wasn't it? Even the commentator said when he turned away himself as if it wasn't in the back of the net, and it was a bit muted, wasn't it? It was a bit of a strange one. It was a cracking header. Don't get me wrong, and that's what you want your wingers to be coming into the box late on for the back post. But it was a second take, and then you're like, fucking hell, what's us 1-0 up?
Yeah, exactly, aye. And I thought like that, and the Scales goal, the goalie probably could have done better, but I understand he's the reserve goalie, he couldn't play. Sorry, had to play because he couldn't. The other guy couldn't. But Naz, we also had a pretty fucking spectacular protest against the board, sort of before the game and at various points in the game and all that kind of thing. And I don't know, you'll probably not be aware of this, Phelan, but when this protest happened, Naz, if you've probably seen, cut to the board sitting at Firhill director's box, all looking at their phones.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that seems to be a common theme with the board. I've heard kind of they don't like long lingering shots, and the more these protests go on during a game, particularly when we're winning, because you notice just at start of second half, once the third goal went in fairly early on, immediately the commentators start talking about obviously the protests because they think the game's done, it's beyond Thistle, so they now have to bring in that. So I think the board's going to have to kind of get used to a lot more of a lot more scrutiny and focus during games. And if they keep,
and I think the commentator, that Rory Hamilton, who I can't stand, was basically trying to defend the board to begin with, and Michael Stewart just completely shut him down.
Wow.
And sort of said, because at one point I think Rory Hamilton said about, well, they've got that money in the bank, and Michael Stewart said, well, that makes it worse, surely. The fact that they've got this money,
Yeah.
But so that's progress, and it is Phelan, Sefco in the semi.
Yeah, I think we just you posted there in our little group there earlier. Happy to get them in the semis rather than the final, and I would share that completely. Especially given their wretched form at the moment. Now we were too fucking negative against them the last time. So we've a good record in Hampden, as we know. So bring it on. I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're fucking celebrating getting us this time as they were a few years ago. That's fucking well and truly gone.
Well, that's the thing, Davey. I mean, the reason that I said that is better getting them in the semi than the final was because, the final, you want it to be a day out for people. You want it to be, fun and fully family friendly and all that kind of stuff, which the games aren't they, obviously.
Yeah.
So hopefully you dispatch them in the semi, and then you've obviously got Motherwell or something in the final. But I was delighted to get them in the semi. What did you think?
I'm the same way of thinking, Paul, because even a few years back, the 3H game against them in the final, in the League Cup final too, it just goes to show that anything can happen on the day, and the fact that we're 6 weeks down the line, it's going to be the 1st or the 2nd of November, and I mean the way that they're gone now, like you say, you want them earlier, the earlier the better, and especially after the day, especially after Kilmarnock, when we seem to be making strides and an improvement, you can see the improvement that's coming in our team, and I think by the time we play them, then again, if we turn up on the day, we'll have no problems.
Well, I think Brendan Rodgers kind of made that point, Davey, on Friday, where he was talking about this so-called crisis at Celtic, and he was like, that's nothing to do with the team. And the team right now, he's focusing on getting them in a rhythm, which is
Yeah.
clearly starting to happen. It doesn't matter if it's Partick Thistle or whoever. It's starting to the machine's starting to be oiled. But of course, we talked about the board and that, Naz, and they did a now almost a ubiquitous statement on a Saturday, where they sort of released the financial results, Naz, and a kind of, how could I put it, stinging riposte from Peter Lawwell to anybody who questions anything they do.
No, absolutely, and it just to be expected that they would put that statement out late on a Saturday night, thinking that it would just get lost in the ether. But they have sorely underestimated the anger within the support this
Yeah.
time round. They've done it year on year, and they've thought, right, okay, right, if we get knocked out, we'll buy a couple of players, we'll focus on the Europa League, and everyone will get behind the team. We've done it year in, year out. Definition of insanity, as you said, is expecting the same result, doing the same thing, expecting the same result. But the fans aren't going to put up with it, and they are going to see that now. And once the AGM comes out, that's going to be quite an interesting. Quite an interesting meeting, considering that in the past it's been kind of hijacked by some voices. I think if
Yeah.
the Celtic fans collective get behind this and plan it right with the right people, it should make it fairly uncomfortable for them, and some more
Well,
obviously media
that's the
mileage.
thing, Phelan. Some of the figures are still 77 million in the bank. They're making 43 million profit before tax. I didn't really understand it, to be honest, because I'm not a big financial guy, as my bank manager will tell you. But we've made an absolute fortune there in the summer on players going out. Kuhn and Ida, and obviously the add-ons for Frimpong and for
Yeah,
Ben Doak and all that kind of thing.
yeah,
But what is wrong with these people that they can't see that they've crossed the line and just keep doubling down?
yeah.
Statement a couple of weeks ago, now this.
Yeah, well, I think we've been saying it for weeks, if not months now. They're just arrogant. They're just arrogant. They just keep peddling out. Nothing to see here, lads. We hear we understand your concerns. No, they fucking don't. We hear you. No, they fucking don't. So I think today's, as you call it, spectacular protest today, Paul, that has to make a difference. They have to be sitting fairly uncomfortably watching their phones there today, because
Yeah.
that was a massive statement, and we were a bit disappointed, I think, with last week's protest. People put in beforehand, but today was different gravy altogether. But it's the
Yeah.
arrogance. It's the arrogance. Nothing is going to change. Like nothing to see here. And like I'm just thinking, I can't speak for every other club, or I wouldn't know. But I'd say there's not very many clubs in that level of football would be saying we've 70 odd million in the bank and won't spend it. Sure. Would most clubs not be in debt? Like,
Yeah.
I don't get this 70
Well,
million in the bank, but let's leave it there for a rainy day. It
that's
just
the
doesn't make
thing
sense.
with they're talking about things like UEFA and all that, which is unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean, you want to talk about debt, you're saying that Man United's figures this week are £1 billion in
yeah,
debt.
yeah,
That's debt, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But Davey, this looking at the phones thing, I mean, that's the modern day equivalent of burying your head in the sand, isn't it?
Oh,
And
100%.
I'm just wondering, given your location close to Celtic Park, how long it's going to be before you're in the front door.
Well, if you are going to back me up, then fucking I think I wouldn't be alone. But I think the time, I think, to be honest, I'm quite glad the way that we're kind of gone now with the visuals of the protest. I think this is the way to go, rather than angry things that could be perceived as maybe spur of the moment, knee jerk reactions, and I'm no doubt we'll come on to a few things later on in the show. But I think today a picture paints 1,000 words, and it was clear with the fans, with the signs up, with the board figures behind them. We all understand who the problem is,
Yeah,
and what we're going to do about it now.
I think, like you brought up during the week, and it's a valid point. It's been about how there'd been graffiti on the gazebo outside Celtic Park, and all the board names, and then it had rats beside it, and you said that was a kind of almost like a self-inflicted wound to the campaign.
Yeah.
And I can see both sides of that,
Yeah.
Naz. Like, I can see how, that's like, well, maybe gives them ammunition to say, oh Christ, they're all thugs and hooligans and all that kind of thing. But then it also kind of lends into the fact that, well, if you treat people that badly, that's how they'll start acting, Naz.
Absolutely, and there's the Celtic support is a broad church, as they say. There's people from all walks of life, all sorts of experience, and there's obviously people that are going to show their displeasure by calling them rats, and there's a lot of us that called that to the current manager when he walked out of us last time. So,
Yeah.
excuse me. So I'm pretty sure that those in the board that have contributed to the mess that we're in this season will get a little bit of the same. With regards to that, they have kind of luck. Well, they probably thought they were lucky that they hadn't had a home game, but it might have actually flipped on its side here by
Aye.
actually giving the collective an opportunity to build up, because you've seen the difference between a quick campaign at Kilmarnock to one that had a week or so to plan and organise. This is just going to
Yeah.
continue, and that
Yeah.
head game is going to be something special, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, it kind of bleeds in, Phelan, to the Rodgers v Lawwell, although it seems to be Lawwell v Rodgers, to be honest, because obviously him briefing the Sun is bad enough. But if you look at the things he said in this brief about how Rodgers has been trying to engineer himself out of the club, and that he knew what we were going to be doing when he came, and I thought, what you told him, by the way, we're going to make a complete fuck up with the transfer market. We're not going to be prepared for Champions League, and Rodgers was like, I ain't bother, I'll just come into that. Just shows you the ludicrous nature of the thing. But this, I think Naz makes a great point, that rather than, if there had been a home game, it might have been like all or nothing on that, and then all of a sudden it's like it starts to sort of dissipate somewhat.
Yeah.
However, as Naz says, this is building up, and I know there's a protest planned in Belgrade as well.
Yeah.
This is going to be, they're not going to know what's hit them on Saturday, are they?
No, I think, as you say, momentum is a great word, especially, I think, as you said, people have a bit more time to consider how to go about it. And as we all know, that some of the Green Brigade's messages and banners in the past have been absolutely brilliant. So this is not going to be any different, I think. And I think once people don't cross the line and just keep it visual, keep it just focus in on the prize and just keep at it without getting as Davey I think said, without getting being accused of being tugs or nasty or whatever. Just keep it clear, keep it loud, keep it as visual as it was today, and just keep going. It's, as we said before, and we got to play the long game here, and and I think. I was going to make a point there. It's gone, but momentum is definitely grown, and it all depends. Of course, maybe you would hope there wouldn't be any interference at the home games for messages to get through. I don't know what the procedure is, the process is for that, but this momentum has grown. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think the board and their apologists would absolutely love, Davey, if these protests were somehow affecting the team or were to the detriment. But nobody can accuse the Celtic support of not supporting the team. I mean, they're doing it week in, week out in huge numbers. You've seen guys standing who couldn't get a ticket, still watching the game. You know what I mean? Where do you see that anywhere in football? Anywhere.
No, it's true.
Following this team. But the thing is, I think Phelan's right, Davey, that we have to keep focused on sack the board. That's what it's all about. We need to get rid of Mackay, Nicholson and Lawwell as soon as possible before it goes on to a different thing. And it probably will be a long game. But I think the board have underestimated the people involved in all this, right? Because you've got loads of people, and I'm just talking about people that I know, right? A lot of them are really intelligent people who have been in campaigns and all that kind of thing. And they're not going to be browbeaten by board stuff or, as Michael Stewart said, they conflating stuff that's got absolutely nothing to do with anything. They just haven't got in their heat, Davey, that we want them to go now.
Yeah, 100%, Paul. And the other two completely different things between wanting rid of the board and supporting the team, and it's evident that the end game is get rid of them, but we'll do it while we're supporting the team. And
Absolutely.
every single person in that stadium partook in the protest. They showed what we want. They made their feelings clear. Then they got behind the team. They chose their moments perfectly to do the both things simultaneously, and that's what it's all about. And like Ferrum said, it's a concerted one. It's not going to be one that's going to go away. And I completely agree with you, Paul. See, if we had a fucking Clyde disaster the day and went out of the cup and everything else, then there's ones that would be probably not so much happy about that, but they would be thank fuck it's took the pressure away for us a wee bit and maybe put the focus on the manager and his tactics and the team.
Yeah,
And
they would absolutely love to handicap him, as they've shown, umpteen times, and that's one of the reasons why we walk them out. And I also have to say that, as I said last week, like I heard David Lowe talking about, it's impossible to get to him. Like, I didn't even think that's a remote possibility. If he's not willing to sell shares, he's not willing to sell shares. End of story. But civil disobedience, emphasising the word civil, is the way, because their egos cannot handle this. Let me tell you. I mean, they have been bombastic behind closed doors. They've been, berating certain fans about, who do you want in, and nobody else can do this job and all that kind of thing. And in reality, what they're absolutely petrified of is new people coming in and doing a far better job, which, by the way, won't be that difficult, because at the end of the day, let's not forget here, the fans are sussed out that this so-called player trading model that they keep hyping up is done to suit them.
Yeah.
And if this team wins, that's even better. But it's basically, they're using Celtic Football Club to showcase these players that they're bringing in, and then they sell them on for a huge profit, they hope, so that they then get bonuses, which is exactly why Brendan Rodgers is like, they're not doing it with my team.
Yep.
But anyway, I've got, by popular demand, I had a few people saying about when's Phelan going to have another rant. And so we're going to try and set one up here. But before we do, Phelan, I've had some correspondence in about a comment you made where, within your Liam Scales rant, where you said that Shamrock Rovers would have beaten Kairat Almaty, and that's no thing. And the listener said, well, Celtic beat Cork and Shamrock drew with Cork, so that's what it was you to do. We need to date here.
Do I really have to answer that?
I thought it was a fair point, but no. So we'll come to you first on this one, because we were going to get this last week, but as we know, we had a lot of problems last week.
You probably wrote that fucking question, did you?
If you think I've had time to write fucking questions, I tell you that right now.
I'm sure it was David.
My wife's only talking to me for the first time in about 2 days. We fucking Scottish football pundits, and we've all got our bugbears, but Phelan, I know you had some things to say about a certain Monster Munch.
Yeah, I think we all have, but it's just the longer he's commenting, the longer he's allowed to sit in on Celtic games other than the Glasgow derbies, he's no place there. He shouldn't be. There's plenty of other pundits who are, number one, have more mildly intelligent things to say, and secondly, don't display the utter bitterness that we know he has towards Celtic, and thirdly, he spent most of last week interrupting Chris Sutton with shite as well, bullshit. I mean, how is he making a living as a pundit? He has nothing of any depth or any consequence or intelligence to say, and he's appearing on our screens every fucking game on a Scottish game. He was on a Football League game yesterday. That should be his level. I'm not no disrespect to the Football League, but he's no business. He's nothing to contribute to a game involving Celtic other than Celtic Rangers and be fucking, and be pro Rangers. And that's fine. You're a Rangers fan. But I don't know why Sky are continuing to put him as a pundit when Celtic are playing someone other than Rangers, because it's just a waste of fucking time. He's robbing a living. And when Celtic are on Sky, when he's on, I won't tune into the match till a minute before kickoff, because it's a waste of fucking time, and it's bleeding my ears, and it's just it's just pathetic at this stage. It's just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean,
Call him a cunt, fair him.
I mean, the thing about no tuning in is just when you brought up there is something that if I'm watching a game against them, I will never watch the build-up
No.
because it's just lies.
Yeah.
You know, it's old firm this game in history. Huns have not had a worse start for 47 years and all that kind of stuff. And it's absolute nonsense, you know what I mean? But Davey, like, one of my bugbears was punditry today with Stephen Craigan.
Well,
Like, I don't know how this guy, like, he's talking about games. This is what you do to win cups. This is what you do to win leagues. How does he know?
aye, you not got a
You know
fucking
what I mean?
clue.
He's never been in that position, and I didn't know. You know, I know some people will get punditry in Ireland. Tons of people like this in Ireland, as you'll know, Phelan, who get punditry jobs, not because necessarily they were successful in the game, but because they can wind people up or they're particular or whatever it might be. He's none of them. He's just a complete and utter imbecile who's a fucking journeyman.
Yeah.
Davey, have you got any particular pundits you love or hate?
Well, I would say, obviously, apart from Mr. Monster Munch there as well, Craigan is definitely right at the top of that pile as well. And I'd like to make a wee comparison with what Neil Lennon he was talking about, that wee rat Raskin in the Celtic Sevco Derby game, when he was saying with the players, exactly what you're saying. I mean, who are these guys? They've not done it on the park, so how the fuck can they turn around and tell other people how to do it and everything else? I mean, Craigan was another one, like Monster Munch, that came out the day and was basically making the point about Celtic fans being entitled and why he was so fucking unhappy and everything else. And he went out about we've won this and we've won that. They just don't get it. And
He doesn't have a clue, no.
the bitterness, I mean, their hatred for Celtic overwrites their professionalism and
Correct.
their job. And in any other industry, they wouldn't get a sniff of the gigs that they're getting. It's car crash TV to keep people talking, to keep them relevant. And I think that's the only reason, Fairham, to answer your question, how Boyd is getting his gigs on the TV, because they know that through the week that people will be talking about his comments rather than having any relevant input to the game itself.
Yeah.
And I tell you another thing, Davey, you just reminded me what winds me up, right? And I can guarantee you, if you've never noticed this, once I say it, but you'll start to notice it. And Scottish football pundits, the amount of pundits in Scotland who basically think every time they're asked a question, it's a job interview. And they try and blind people with science, with all these daft phrases and all that kind of thing. Anybody can do that. Anybody with a modicum of a brain can sound like they know what they're talking about football. Actually managing a football team is a completely different ballgame. But the other thing is, Naz, what we didn't get in Scottish football hardly ever is actually expert analysis. For example, like if I'm watching a game, I didn't want a pundit to tell me what I've just seen. I want them to tell me how it happened, why it happened, and what should have happened, because they have the experience to doing that. But we didn't even get that in Scottish football.
No, absolutely, and it's like you've been saying with the quality of the pundits. They don't have the nous, they don't have the understanding, and even if they do understand it, they don't have the ability to articulate it to their audience. So they just basically tell you what you're seeing, hit out with the usual cliches and hark back to when they were in this game or when they were playing and what they would do, like say a Craigan's who are basically telling you how to, like you say, to win things when they've never actually been in that position. So you'd
Exactly.
want people there that have been ex-managers, who have played the game at the highest level and coached, and that's where you get actual good punditry from understanding of football.
One of the worst for that is Pat Niven. You know, he's just I am intelligent. He never went to university like he always claims and all that sort of stuff. But it gets to a point where like you've got Brendan Rodgers was asked about Russell Martin on Friday, Phelan, and he was basically saying that it doesn't help when you've got three guys in the media who were in the job like last season, focusing on all that kind of thing. And of course, Wee Barry's went off his head about that and all that kind of thing. First of all, they were never getting that job, no matter what they did, right? Barry Ferguson trumpets, oh, well, we won at Celtic. That was the equivalent of scoring 2 goals after a team's already 7 goals up, right? There's nothing to be thinking there. They got knocked out of Europe, and so on and so on and so on. They were garbage, and they were never getting the job right. So that isn't right. You know, that they're kind of, commenting this, commenting, oh, I don't know what to say. Well, I thought he was a good player and all this kind of nonsense, right? But again, I mean, it just comes down to, out of the 3 of them, they're basically fucking idiots. The 3 of them, right?
No.
Barry Ferguson, again, cliche, well, I'm a good Rangers man, all that kind of stuff. That's what makes him a coach. Billy Dodds rants and raves about everything, and Neil McCann fucking is like fucking Gordon Burns on the Krypton Factor, baffling about the science, you know what I mean? I know that's a very retro reference. But what is it the same in Ireland? I know you've got some really high profile pundits in Ireland and all that, right? And some of them are really good. I'll just remember Barcelona beating Chelsea at Stamford Bridge about 15 years ago, and the whole English football was in mourning. And Liam Brady sat down after it and told you why Barcelona would win, and all that kind of stuff. What's your experiences in Ireland of the punditry?
It's going a bit south. Irish football, certainly football punditry, since Liam Brady and John Giles and Eamon Dunphy kind of were kind of put out to retirement. Well, John Giles is in his 80s now, and he only retired from the radio last year. But the RTE football was far and away for 15, 20 years or more the best punditry you would ever hear, with Giles and Brady and Dunphy. I know Eamon Dunphy was a journeyman player, but he was a really good journalist, to be fair to him, and he knew his onions. And beside the master was John Giles, and Liam Brady was not equally as good. Nobody would beat Giles, but Liam Brady, as you said there, he explained why Barcelona won it, and that's what we want to hear. In recent years, as I say, RTE they had I think they got a new director of sport in, and they decided to go with the younger blood, and they're very banal now, Pav, nowadays. There's one pundit I do like, a fellow named Richie Sadlier, who was a schoolboy Irish international, youth international, who's a qualified psychotherapist. He's a clever guy. I like Richie Sadlier, but the rest of them, the likes of Shay Given, Kevin Doyle, Stephen Kelly, they're all a bit samey. They just tell you what we've seen, basically. I wouldn't. So it's a dying art, I think, Paul. To be honest, it's a dying art.
It is, and we didn't. Obviously in Scotland, everybody knows football daft. I think once again we were headed in top country in Europe for people attending football matches per capita, and it's a disservice that the day. I mean, there's a huge market of people, but you want to listen to intelligent stuff, even though we know Davy and Naz, But before we go to listeners' questions and any other business, Naz, can you give us a wee update on what's happening with events in Palestine?
So this week, just a couple of things. First of all, we had the second state visit of Donald Trump to the UK, who, if you've caught any of it, was basically telling this has never happened before and how he's so wonderful. And obviously the reason I'm bringing this into the Palestine discussion is that he basically pushed for a ceasefire when he was inaugurated, and was also looking to be the anti-war candidate, which is basically turned on its head. He's given Netanyahu and Israel everything they've asked for, and he also outlined his own desire to take over the Gaza Strip and turn it into a Riviera. So we know exactly what he is. He's a con man, he's a grifter, he's a chancer, and he's a lot of things if you believe the rumours about being on a certain list. The other thing that happened this week was there was an event in London with regards to raising awareness for Palestine, and there was a lot of high-profile people on there. I believe Florence Pugh, one of the Hollywood actresses, was one of the main voices on that there. But in coming back to football, we had Eric Cantona, who appeared. He has been a long-standing supporter of the Palestinian cause, and he had a couple of quotes here. So basically, he outlined a few things. Well, first of all, when Russia was suspended within 4 days of the Ukraine war, and why is there the double standards? He's also put out a call for every team to refuse to play against Israeli teams. He says no players should play against their players and teams. And also to go back to apartheid South Africa and how the sporting boycott was critical in ending the apartheid regime and putting the final nails in to that, and obviously raising awareness within the wider public.
Yeah, and obviously just today we had Keir Starmer recognising Palestine as a state, so hopefully now we'll recognise that there's a genocide going on there as well. Okay, on a lighter note, Phelim, do you have some questions for us, and are they as angry as usual?
No, there's no. There's no rants this week.
Oh well,
we've 5 questions now that I've probably done.
Oh, good.
We've had one rant from me. That's enough for anybody tonight. Stephen A. Gray.
By the way, Phelim, I hope your face goes viral when the Cork City point was brought up, because you were like, did you see it, David? He was literally like steam coming out his ear. But anyway.
Okay, Stephen A. Gray, thanks for your question, Stephen. Do we think that Brendan Rodgers might stay beyond this season if there are sweeping boardroom changes and he is given guarantees by the inverted commas new board?
Personally, yes, I do. I think there will. I think that's the real story at the heart of this. This is all about trying to get him away for the club because he has no relationship with Peter Lawwell. His family are settled here. One of the big reasons he came up is because his daughter was at university here, and he loves it. Brendan Rodgers has managed in the Premier League, obviously, and he knows what that's like and the egos and all that kind of thing. And, he's been successful there and stuff like that. I believe his only ambition in football left, apart from managing Celtic as long as possible, was to manage in Spain because he's got a house out there. But, Davey, do you got any thoughts?
Well, it's plain to see, and if Mr. Lawwell was to disappear, I think that with the Mealy Mouse in the board, with no strong characters like your Nichols and that, if they were to stay, then I think Mr. Rodgers would then have maybe a say in other matters, and they would take on the things that he's actually fucking telling them, like this player's going to make the team on the park better, and they wouldn't be fear the man above them. So, and like you say, Paul, the man. He loves Celtic, he's carried Celtic, he's been the public face of Celtic, and there's just like anybody, you don't want to fucking keep be jumping ship here, there and everywhere. You put down your roots and you want to stay, and his family's here, he's got his wife here, so I would like to believe that this season we'll see the removal of Lawwell at the very least, which in turn will make Rodgers stay.
Well, that's exactly it for me. And also, like a good chief executive and all that, you shouldn't know his name. Right? You should never hear about him or anything like that. And this is what it's all about, the ego of one man. But as I say, if Brendan Rodgers was to leave Celtic, where do you find another elite manager that's willing to come? Because the only reason he's here is because he's a Celtic supporter.
Yep.
He could be managing pretty much anywhere else he liked, so hopefully that answers the question, Phil.
Yeah, okay, thanks for that, Stephen. Next one, Gary Power. Thanks, Gary. Would you play Dane Murray before Carter Vickers? I personally think he should be a starter against Partick, which was obviously today. So
you're accusing me of making up questions, and you've just read out somebody saying somebody should play before Carter Vickers with no skills.
See, in hindsight, that's a great point.
My answer is no. What do you think, Nas?
Not at the moment. Carter Vickers is our best defender. There needs to be a bit of continuity in there, and also with the fact that we have 2 right backs down. I don't think putting in another player who's got not a lot of minutes in there, perhaps rotating him in a game like today, or on a game where we're 3-4-0 already up and we're cruising, by all means. He should be one for the future. I certainly think Carter Vickers, if he's going to be going, we might need to see.
The thing for me is I think Brendan Rodgers has managed Dane Murray really well. I think I first seen him when Ange Postecoglou's first game. We got battered 6 by West Ham. And I think that the way he's kind of dripped him in and put him in Champions League and all that sort of stuff, I think, he's definitely a massive prospect. and he's obviously a massive guy, so I'm definitely not going to say anything to upset him, like, you know. But yeah. I mean, I can understand, but Carter Vickers for me holds the defence together when he's fit and all that. He's the main man there for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, thanks, Gary. James Coyle. The wording of this is a little bit unclear, but I think I know what he's saying. Can we kick on with this squad in the Scotland, win the league, or be closely chased by the likes of Hearts? So I think what he's saying is, will we kick on, or do you see Hearts chasing us? I think is what he's trying to say.
Davey?
If I've misunderstood that, James, my apologies, but the way it's worded.
Davey?
I think the time to ask that question's maybe around about January time, and we'll see how Hearts are faring then. But they might do another Aberdeen and be 10 games into the season and be flying and fall apart. I don't think that'll happen personally. I don't think it'll get to the stage where they're going to be title contenders. But the improvements there for Tynecastle, it's plain to see. Last minute winners, that they've got a belief about them, they've got a structure. And I think they will eventually finish second this year. No title challengers, but I think they'll drop enough points along the line that we'll be all right, but they'll be second best this year.
Aye, I mean, that to me is the key, longevity. You know, we've seen Aberdeen last season, as Davey said, and then all of a sudden they just imploded. I do like what Tony Bloom's trying to do there, the kind of infrastructure and all that, because he kens he can't outspend Celtic in the Huns or whatever, or he might have been able to this transfer window right enough, but he's probably ahead of the time that they probably didn't expect it, but I will remind all Jambo bastards watching that he did get knocked out the cup by St Mirren in the first round, so it's not that good a start.
Back in your box. Thomas Cochran, thanks Thomas. Does the panel think it's a good idea for Brendan to show sympathy for anyone connected to Ibrox except in a bereavement situation? It does say a lot for his upbringing and Christian, social and humanitarian values, in my opinion, though.
I'm lost. Who's he talking about, like?
Brendan, do you think it's a good idea for Brendan to show sympathy for anyone connected to Ibrox except in a bereavement situation? I think maybe if he was defending Russell Martin, was he?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about somebody that died. Naz, what do you think? You've got a lot of experience with bereavements and stuff.
I agree. In a bereavement situation, then show your respects. And for anything else, he has to be professional, but we can laugh as much as we want, and we get plenty of Monster Munch footage and things like that. On the back of that.
Rodgers is clever enough to, you know, it's like I remember seeing Ange Postecoglou was the same. We played them in the League Cup final, and him and Michael Beale were doing something, and he said the quick reporter said to Ange, you know, well, how are you going to win this game? And he says, well, I've got to use my 27 years experience in management to try and guide us here. And that was basically just belittling Michael Beale right in front of him and saying, you've done nothing in this game, son. So that's all, you know. So that's it. But I mean, Brendan Rodgers, I mean, he's never got to turn round and say, oh, it's fucking amazing that Russell Martin thinks for the next 10 years, you know.
Exactly. Thanks for that, Thomas. And the last question from Frankie Johnston. Do you think it's about time that supporters stop berating our players on social media platforms? He's shit and should never play again, and instead get behind the players. After all, we're called Celtic supporters in capitals for a reason. All our players have a dip in form from time to time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, right? You guys can come in. I didn't really. I mean, I probably follow the players, but I never read their comment. I never see their comment on it, so I didn't know who's thinking them. But I did hear Wayne Rooney say last week that when he first went onto Twitter, he didn't have any idea what it was, and he sort of just was posting whatever he wanted, and he had to be quickly sort of tell. Now you can't just tell everybody everything. And he said, in the one part of it was that one guy had said to him, basically, Rooney, you were fucking shit on Saturday, and you should never play again, you're finished and all that. And Rooney replied by saying, right, come to the training ground in the morning and I'll fight you. And I think that led to a lot of these top players getting teams of people to do all their social media stuff. Yeah. But for me, if you're going to criticise Celtic players, you do it constructively on Twitter and all that. I mean, I remember, and you probably remember this, Naz, because there was a huge outcry. after England lost the European Championship final, like say Saka and Rashford getting raised as a goose. People like that need help. They shouldn't have access to computers or front doors, never mind anything else, right? But Naz, I mean, I just think that you support the players as much as you can.
No, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's times where you'll shout at the telly and you'll take your frustration out, but to actually actively go onto someone's social media and follow them and put that comment in there where everyone can see, maybe have a word with yourself. Unless that person has done something really, really bad, really, really bad. But even then, just keep your own counsel and maybe keep it within your own circle of friends on social media. But to actively go to someone's page and post that, it's poor form.
I mean, Davey, your part of the question, you're obviously somebody who gets a lot of abuse for Phelan and Naz. What do you think of it?
All the time. Just for full disclosure for the viewers as well, Frankie Johnson, that's actually my cousin. And Phelan,
what's that got to do with it, like?
But I'm just going to say this will concern with yourself, Phelan, where I think he's coming for. I've seen quite a few comments for him and he's been on the back of people and he's said the exact same things when people's been on Scales's back. That's the kind of, I think that's where he's gone with that one, is that it's folk after one bad pass or one bad game, you're seeing fucking players jumping on their backs and again, we've said it time and time again, it's the world we live in, the day
Exactly.
the age we live in now, isn't it?
It is the world we live in.
And you, by the way, you could answer that by saying one of the most maligned players in our lifetime has been James Forrest, who's now currently Celtic's most decorated player. And yet, as I say that, there will still be people watching this going, aye, but he's shite.
Yeah.
You know, that's just
incredible. That's the world we live in. It is the world we live in.
That's
it. No more questions.
Right, well, we'll wrap it up there. It's been a good, trouble-free show at last. We shall be back next week. We've got Belgrade and then we've got Hibernian at Celtic Park. Any other business for anybody before we go?
Oh, I just would like to clarify if people were a bit worried about Davy's sinister remark. Possibly would be construed as sinister that if Peter Lawwell disappears, he doesn't mean in that way. If he leaves, just some people might misinterpret shit like that.
Whereas if it had been Naz that had said it, he would have definitely been disappearing, literally.
I would just like to thank the host for
good show and Celtic.
Dave, you want to say something there?
I would just like to thank the host, yourself, Paul. I think this is the first show in history that we've made it through without a comment about a slagging to myself, so thank you for that. Thoroughly enjoyed today.
Well, I mean, you've always been an insufferable prick at the best of times, Dave, so, I'll take the congratulations, Right, on that bombshell, we shall leave and be back with you next week. Until then, lads, take care. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Salam.